For 25 incredible years, my life revolved around one thing: earning a living. At first, it was all for the kids, then to secure a cozy retirement for my wife, Olivia, and me. Olivia never worked a traditional job. Instead, she dedicated herself to keeping our home running like clockwork. Every evening, she welcomed me with a warm meal and her tender smile. But time has a way of changing things. The kids grew up, spread their wings, and left the nest, leaving just Olivia and me in a quiet house. One night, I came home late as usual. The moment I stepped inside, I could tell something was off. The house was silent and dark. No dinner on the table. No Olivia in sight. Unease crept in as I grabbed my phone to call her. Straight to voicemail. Panic set in. I called her closest friends, Lucy and Jana, thinking they might have answers, but neither had heard from her in days. My mind raced, imagining the worst. Was she in danger? Had something happened to her? I spent hours pacing, calling everyone I could think of, our kids, our family, even local hospitals. Nothing. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. Just as I was about to lose my mind, I heard the front door unlock. I glanced at the clock, 1 a.m. Olivia. I blurted, relief and anger clashing in my voice. Don't you think I deserve an explanation? Where on earth have you been? She stepped inside, calm as ever, blinking at me innocently. What do you mean? I was at Lucy's. We were celebrating our friendship anniversary. I told you about it, remember? My jaw nearly hit the floor. Anniversary? Olivia, I called Lucy. She said she hasn't even spoken to you lately. Her expression hardened. Oh, come on. You know Lucy. She's always joking around. Fine, if you don't believe me, I'll call her myself right now. I threw my hands up in surrender. No, forget it. Let's drop it. I pulled her into a hug, but the tension lingered. I wanted to trust her, but a crack had formed, one I had never questioned before. After that night, an uneasy feeling settled in, and things only got more complicated. Every Wednesday, Olivia would stroll in around midnight, claiming she was out with her girlfriends. She said she felt restless at home now that the kids were gone. I understood. I only asked for one thing: to let me know ahead of time. Then one evening, I noticed a stunning bouquet of roses on the dining table. Olivia, where did these come from? I asked. Oh, you won't believe it. Someone must have left them on the bench outside. I couldn't just leave them there. Poor flowers. Her voice cracked, and she looked like she might actually cry. I knew Olivia had a soft heart, always moved by the smallest things. So I believed her. Why wouldn't I? But after that day, flowers started showing up more often. Roses, lilies, even exotic arrangements. Sometimes she said her friends gave them to her. Other times, our daughter. Or, with a laugh, she claimed she found them abandoned on the bench again. I wanted to trust her, but doubt started creeping in, especially when she began pulling away. Always an excuse, a headache, a bad mood. It stung. Then came the night she told me, casual as ever, "Honey, I'm spending the night at Jenny's. We just need some girl time to relax." Something didn't feel right. I called Jenny. Sleepover? No way. Olivia and I had a falling out a few days ago. My stomach twisted. The hours dragged until Olivia came home. This time, I was ready. "Olivia," I said, keeping my voice steady, "I know everything. You and Jenny aren't on speaking terms. So tell me, where were you?" Her face tightened. For a moment, she looked like she might deny it. Then she sighed, shoulders dropping. "All right, fine. No more secrets." Her voice was quiet. "I've been seeing someone else. His name's Leo. He's younger. Can you imagine? Only 30. She gave a bitter laugh. "George, I'm leaving. I'll pack my things tonight. We'll figure out the divorce later." And just like that, she was gone. I stood there, numb. How could she? After all these years? After everything I'd done for her, for us? I'd worked myself into the ground to provide for our family. And this was how it ended? With some kid, no less? I threw myself into work, but Olivia's betrayal haunted me. I couldn't let it go, not without knowing more. I called Alex, an old buddy who knew everyone at my company. Do you happen to have a young guy named Leo working there? Alex chuckled. Leo? We've got plenty of those. You'll have to be more specific. I wasn't giving up. My next call was to Jenny. She gave me more insight into their argument. Apparently, Leo had been the breaking point. Jenny had tried to talk sense into Olivia, reminding her of the life we'd built. But Olivia was defiant. I love him. I can't help it, she had told Jenny. That was all Jenny knew, but it was enough. I called Lucy next. George, seriously? How can you not know by now? That kid works at Thomas's company, she said bluntly. Honestly, I never thought Olivia had it in her, but I told her, leave that sucker already. He's young. He's got a whole life ahead of him. Her bluntness stung, but at least I was finally piecing things together. Finally, I called Thomas. We'd always had a solid friendship, lots of fishing trips and good talks. Thomas, do you have a Leo working for you? Thomas paused. Damn, I meant to tell you. Olivia visited that kid a few times, brought him pies and homemade food. And guess what? He's the one who gave her all those flowers. My stomach sank. What's he like? Thomas snorted. Hard worker? That boy's still wet behind the ears. Lazy as they come. I've been meaning to fire him for ages. After I hung up, I sat in silence, humiliation gnawing at me. She traded me for that? Days later, Thomas called again. George, I've been thinking about you. My first wife pulled something similar. Anyway, listen, I signed Leo's leave of absence. That guy's out. Revenge has a strange aftertaste. Bittersweet at best. Leo had been living it up, coasting on his paycheck and charm, dabbling in affairs with older women. And now, poof, gone. Less than a week later, word spread. Olivia and Leo had split. He had moved on to greener pastures. Apparently, she had started losing interest before he did. Then one evening, there she was, standing at my door. George, I made a mistake, she whispered, tears streaming down her face. She dropped to her knees. He was young, passionate, swept me off my feet. But I love you. Please take me back. I didn't waver. No, Olivia, that's not how this works. I handed her the divorce papers. She tried everything, roping in our kids, our friends, even playing the victim in court. But I stood firm. At the trial, she sat silently, tears of regret streaming down her face, mourning what she had lost. Time passed, and so did the pain. I moved on. Eventually, I met a kind woman at work. We built a life together, even talked about marriage. As for Olivia, she faded into the background of my life. Word was, she lived with her parents now, scraping by on part-time jobs. It's hard not to feel a twinge of pity. But that's life. It moves on, even when you think it can't. And if I learned one thing from this, it's that no matter how well you think you know someone, they can always surprise you. And sometimes those surprises cut deep.